Being feminine to me means being able to embrace my softness, my emotion, my sensitivity, but also being strong at the same time.
Being femme presenting means an embracing of who I am as a person. I think I can be quite sensitive and prone to feeling a lot.
When I was sitting there earlier thinking about this question, the word that came to mind was nurturing.
Empowerment, representation, but within a harsh world. So I think the world sometimes needs that femininity and that presence to soften it a bit.
Femininity to me is empowering those attributes that are viewed as weak. So to me that's empowering sensitivity, vulnerability, and all those things that shouldn't be gendered but are.
As a feminine woman, you always seem to be looking after everyone else and taking on everyone else's stuff as well as your own. So yeah, it's strength.
When you're a femme presenting person, you experience a lot of harassment, often at the hands of men. You'll get catcalled if you're wearing, something a bit revealing perhaps, or even if you're not actually.
Being feminine presenting, it's kind of the kind of lowest thing you could be. So if you're a effeminate man, then that's to be kind of ridiculed or mocked.
As a femme woman, I'm also queer, I'm bisexual, and being femme kind of makes you invisible. Being a hijabi also makes you invisible. I'm immediately coded as straight all the time.
If I spoke to my godfather, if he saw me with tattoos, he would be like, that's not a lady thing, that's a male thing. Whereas today's generation, especially Generation Z, is a lot more fluid, a lot more accepting, and I think femininity and being female is a lot more empowering.
I think being a feminine representing woman, I feel invisible sometimes within the LGBTQ community.
That whole thing, you might not look like you're gay, you might not look like you like girls because you look girly. And that's quite a difficult thing because it almost makes you feel like, oh, maybe I should be a bit more boyish, I
kind of had to prove myself to other people, whether they're part of the community or not, that I have a place and I can take up this space and I'm still as valid as anyone else, whether I dress really queer or I don't.
I will always be seen as straight. You get your butch lesbians and your femme lesbians, and obviously that's not the case when it comes to actual people and how we represent ourselves with our gender identities. So as a femme woman, I want to break those stereotypes by presenting femme in all manners, because I'm not going to dampen who I am just to fit some other archetype.
The external world kind of hypersexualizes us as well. Like, just because I dress this way doesn't mean that I want you to look at me and think, oh my gosh, you're so sexy. I want you to look at me as a person, as a woman, and that I have a right to say what I want to say and take me seriously. So I'm not just seeing me as a figure that you can just give me your goggle eyes. I don't want that. I want that.
Dating. All right. For me personally, I feel that I wouldn't say that a few years ago because my mindset was different. I felt like me being attracted to other femmes, it was a lot harder because a lot of other femmes, for some reason, wouldn't see me as someone they would get with because I wasn't butch enough or stud or whatever.
Yeah, it has been quite turbulent. Let's say that.
Often I think we can do a lot of emotional labour for our partners, and I think sometimes that's perhaps not no fault of their own, but I think femmes are definitely more socialised to take care of our partners, to show up and to hold space for them, perhaps in ways that more masculine people sometimes aren't socialised to do for their partners.
When it comes to my dating life, my femininity and then also my masculinity is something that I think about a lot more than I ever thought I would. I'm actually in a relationship with someone who is genderqueer. So, if we go to a social event, people will treat us differently because we pass as a heterosexual couple. And then also, roles in sex, it's something that we think about a lot.
The way I dress, I feel like I get a lot of masculine attention, which I don't mind, that's great. But I also do like femmes as well, and I don't think that gets taken seriously, especially by my friends. I feel like Even within the LGBT community, sometimes we have these roles that we're supposed to play, and it's not always the case.
The girl that I might be dating that's feminine might prefer someone who's a little bit more dominant or a little bit more masculine. And especially when I'm you know, like my everyday jeans on, hoodie, like rolling out in my van, I can look like more of a stud kind of girl, and because I've got short hair as well. And then when they get to know me, it's like, oh, you're not really that boyish, are you? I'm like, no, not really, not too much. So that can be a bit difficult because I'm not very a dominant kind of person. Just be your natural self, because the person who likes you for you will like you for you.
Yeah, today, I feel like this generation, the millennials and Gen Z, are a lot more accepting and open and fluid. So I feel like it's a lot easier to date, and I feel like it's a lot easier to meet other femmes and not feel that I have to be a certain way.
My style changes day to day. I kind of describe myself as a hippie goth, because most days I'm kind of green lipstick, green eyeshadow, like different color combinations. Some days I go for like flowers and roses and hearts. I just generally like to draw on my face because I've only got this space really to work with.
I think it's important to express yourself through your dress sense because it shows who you are. I just really feel like you should wear what you feel comfortable in, and that really shows your personality. So when people come to interact with you, they kind of know how to approach you, if that makes sense.
My style is something like vintage, bohemian, weird collection, eclectic. But I'm an environmentalist, so I'll buy near enough all my clothes from secondhand charity shops.
For me, a lot of me coming into myself has been having the autonomy to wear what I want. I didn't necessarily have that growing up, and I really, really enjoy just being able to wake up and put on whatever I feel makes me feel good that day.
I have tried to dress more masculine before. I know all my friends are going to be like, what are you talking about? No, you haven't. Yes, I have. It was after I did a school play. I was trying to be like a stud and dress more masculine, and I actually thought, you know what, yeah, I can get away with this, I can do this. I thought, yeah, I'm gonna walk around, and no, it just didn't work for me, you know.
I think there is a real community.
Absolutely, especially with women or people who are just trying out femininity for the first time. So for example, trans women and gender non-conforming people who haven't necessarily presented as feminine before and are just kind of getting into it.
I'm always that girl in the bathroom on a night out, you know, telling a girl, oh, you look good. I don't know her, but I'm like, you look good, you know, and sometimes that compliment can really make someone's day.
If you've ever been to a straight club and there is someone who's on your case or like being really creepy, the speed at which like feminine girls in the club will come to like rescue you is like so quick, and it's so cool.
There was one time I was walking and my shoe, I was wearing these boots and they had like a big heel. My shoe just started talking. Like when I tell you, the platform just dropped off the shoe. Some woman, bless her little cotton sock, she came and helped me in Croydon. She walked with me, she held my hand. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know her.
I don't know, I'm not quite sure about within the queer community actually, because maybe we don't stereotypically look like the queer female. So I haven't felt that there is a community personally.
What gives me hope is that femininity is, at least right now, having an insurgence where it's not being viewed as something weak, not something that's boxed in. Like femininity and masculinity are seen as polar opposites and they have very defined traits, and more and more I'm seeing that flow into each other, and it's like, no, sensitivity is something everyone can have. It's not a feminine trait, it's not something men can't do. And I think if I was talking to my younger self, I'd just say, just do you, because, you know, people are going to stare at you whether you have a heart on your face or not. So, I mean, you might as well put the heart on your face.
Something that gives me hope is that tomorrow's a new day. Whenever I'm having a bad day, I know that I can wake up and it's like a fresh slate. I can start new, I can leave my worries in a sense behind, and I can talk to someone. And I hope that people out there, that if they're going through a hard time, they can find someone to talk to. And I'm really about helping others as well as leaning on others when I need support as well. So that gives me hope. a word of advice that I'd give to my younger self would be to live your truth. Like, I cannot express how important it is that, you know, whether you're emotional, whether you're not, live your truth, be honest with who you are. Don't ever see yourself as weak. Don't ever see yourself as someone that's hopeless or helpless. Everyone deserves to be helped.
What gives me hope is younger and younger people being more free to kind of have fun with their gender identity. Because I think, you know, the way you present yourself and express yourself, that's gonna lead to a bigger shift. And then in terms of advice, trust other girls more, I think. They're not out to get you, and you're all in the same boat, so trust other girls more.
What gives me hope? Mostly I would say like seeing my peers succeed. People that are from the same background as me, people that are from the same culture, similar upbringings, and watching them do well and seeing them succeed is just like, yes, we got this. Like, I'm gonna be cool, you're cool, everything's gonna be fine. My younger self, I'd probably say stop apologising and just be yourself, because inevitably it's gonna hurt if you don't be yourself. So just do it.
I think what gives me hope is seeing more queer spaces that are for us, like AZ Mag, but yeah, a different variety of spaces, so sober spaces, but also spaces for us to come together, share art and dance. And I think the real beauty of having these spaces in London and, you know, across the world is you can realise that there are many people who share your experience, or who will understand you and who will see you. So the advice I would give my younger self is to take up space and to have faith that, you know, you are as God made you, and, you know, and that is right and that's good and that's exactly how you're intended to be. It's important to show up as who you are, because I like to really show love to a lot of my friends, and I think we need people to come as they are, because we teach other people about different parts of themselves in showing up as who we are.
Thank you.
Okay.